Hello, my beautiful collective. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lotus the Sage. I appreciate your time, so thank you for being here. So for today's pick a card reading, we are going to look into the duality within you. So of course, it's only going to be one aspect. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of a lesson from your shadow side and a lesson from your light side. And let's see how they either interact or intermingle, entangle. We'll see. This should be exciting. Either way, for pile 1, the choice that you have here is 𝐶𝐻. Pile number 2, you have 𝐸𝐻. And pile number 3, you have 𝐴𝐺𝐻 or 𝐴𝐺𝐻. See that? All right. Hope so. All right. I know this doesn't really help too much. However, you still have time to pick your option. So you have 𝐶𝐻, 𝐸𝐻, and 𝐴𝐺𝐻 or 𝐴𝐺𝐻. All right, my lovelies, I will see you at your choice. Ciao. All right, hello, welcome my beautiful pile 1 who chose the 𝐶𝐻 rune, which talks about protection, honor, justice, and leadership. I'm gonna put this right here, actually. Okay, so let's see if this rune interplays with what's going on. I'm gonna leave how that might be incorporated until we figure out what's going on in your shadow and your light side. This being the shadow, this being the light. So we are gonna start off with the archetype card. We're reading both and taking in both. Excuse me. We have the servant, delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. The shadow, using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. The shepherd, celebration, family. The patron, mentorship, finances. Very interesting, part 1. Don't shoot the messenger. I love you dearly. The message that I'm receiving first is there is a feeling of being exactly as it says here, the servant to, I really strongly feel family. However, it can be any sort of dynamic, or that can just be a part of the way that you handle things, of being the people pleaser, or that unfortunate doormat, the unconfrontational, the one who will take the shit and not say anything about it just to avoid, or, you know, for whatever the reason, for lack of not having somebody there with you or having enough money, as it's mentioned twice here. So I'm curious with what they're trying to bring up as a lesson in your shadow side here, is that I feel like what I want to say is that you've been a servant for too long. Those are the words that I really truly want to say. And it feels like you've been a servant to the family, being this sort of shepherd energy, and always end up never sort of evolving, you know, with this mentorship, you know, and the shadow attribute here is the lack of money as an excuse to not move forward. And this mentorship and finances is exactly the same energy here. So it's like you delight in being of service, but I feel, however, it is not of service to you any longer. So I'm not sure if you've been stunted, or if you're afraid, or if you think you can't, or I don't know, if you've just been in that sort of energy or perpetual display of your persona that you don't know how else to be. And I feel like the rune here is trying to remind you of your own personal honor, your justice, and your own leadership. That you can be your own mentor, that you have enough, whatever it is, skills, capabilities, know-how to get whatever you need financially to create some sort of celebratory life within yourself. You know, delighting in serving yourself also. This is very interesting, pile 1. Sensitive, I understand entirely. We're going to get some tarot. on your shadow side. You know, it's so funny how there are some times when you're looking at these cards, for me anyways, that I tend to see the cards actually moving, you know, like either the next steps after or how it's being formed. And this particular servant card, which is very interesting, I saw the servant tripping up the stairs. That's what I saw, and the soup spilling, you know? And I saw the surrounding people or the environment sort of mocking you, or you better clean it up, why are you so clumsy? There is no respect here, you know, in some regard, no compassion. And this is not like within you, no compassion. I'm saying like your surroundings that have led you to believe that you're only as good as that boxed in version of servant, you know, instead of allowing that servant energy to serve you. Sorry, I'll show you first. King of Swords. The Hermit. Ten of Pentacles. Queen of Wands. Ace of Pentacles. And the Nine of Wands. Pile one, this is a very heavy energy for me right now. I feel gassy all of a sudden, like blocked off, you know, like my throat's just like burping all of a sudden. Ooh, pile one. Okay, so what I'm feeling here, my loves, is there is an authoritarian figure in this. It does, again, it's reinforcing a family dynamic or an environment where, no, it's a family dynamic. That's what I feel like. But it can be whichever type of, whatever family means to you. Let me put it that way. So it feels like there is a masculine energy, however, it doesn't have to be, but that's the first energy that I'm getting. That is like their word is bond. So you cannot defy, you cannot talk back. There is no room for negotiation. There is my way or the highway. What I say goes. Do as I say, not what I do. It's that type of energy. You were silenced, in other words, this hermit energy within this family dynamic, within this sort of like happy facade of what family is. It's... That's what this feels like, and I think this is the reason why, or how this sort of servant that you've attached to this servant energy in some regard. And this Queen of Wands underneath this King of Swords, it's almost like again, both of the matriarch and patriarch of this family unit or dynamic or situation were feeding into the same idea. So there was no room. Even if this approach was different, their authority was still the same. It feels like this was like the rule of the home. This was who took care of finances and how to go about it or how you get money. So, for example, this feels like the patriarchal energy. My word is bond. You need to stay silent. This is the picture that we are presenting as the family. The mother archetype, so to speak, the matriarchal archetype, here is, this is the way things go. You need to be stealthy, you need to be sexy, you need to be a certain way for you to grab what you need to create the opportunities you need and continue to fight. So there's sort of a method of being taught. It's bringing me back to very old school, again, Victorian era, probably past that too, of where, you know, they're like, tell you to marry rich, you know, or do what you need to do so you can get the money you need to do, and just that's this energy. It is very toxic, it is very manipulative, but it's still also coming from a place of their own past experiences. And I think, again, you have been a servant to this idea, to this environment, to this mentorship, to their finances, to the way that family was developed or expressed, or love even, you know? It's because I don't feel any love here. It feels like a contractual agreement. Again, very old school energy when it comes to the feeling of it, you know? So it feels like what your shadow side, the lesson that it's bringing up for you here, either if this was your scenario or something similar energetically, regardless, that this feels to be why the shadow right now is being highlighted for you. It's like, again, back to that saying, it's like you've been the servant for too long. Find that justice and honor yourself. Find that leadership within to step out of this shadow phase of repeating this particular idea or belief system or way of attaining power in a way that is external from the self, or manipulating that power for not very benevolent gains. This is interesting, Pile 1. Wow. So your shadow lesson, that's interesting. Let's get some light energy and see what we're going over here, what your light side has to say. We have soul on fire. Then we have saboteur. It says, highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. The shadow side induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to determine, or the desire to undermine others. And then follow through. I think this is beautifully fitting also for your shadow side, Pal, too. Because when I first felt the soul on fire, that's exactly what it feels like for you. It feels like your soul's been on fire. Like it is not compatible with you, my lovely. And because of this sort of toggling of the back and forth of the loyalty and the brainwashing, so to speak, to this dynamic, there is that self-saboteur that is within you. You know, that you may not even see how bright or how fierce the fear of self-empowerment and change is for you, and the benefits that it would actually bring to your life in some aspect of your life. You know, so this self-destructive or coming back to the poor me or at mercy of this, it feels like you have the strength now, the experience now, the understanding now to no longer accept this as a part of your future reality. So that's why follow through is here. It's like, my love, just follow through, because we have you holding your hand on the other side. But until you step through and light that up within you and either blow it up, so to speak, metaphorically, blow it up, you know, and step into servitude to self, servitude to the soul, then it feels that you will continuously be latched on to this energy and feeling like you are no better than or not deserving of better than. And you definitely are. You're so deserving of more than that. Interesting. Okay, let's get some tarot to get some lessons on the light side. Page of Wands. The World in the reverse. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. You know what I just heard when I saw the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse? I'm afraid to be alone. That's what I heard. I'm afraid to go at it on my own. And I think that Spirit is trying to remind you of that. That of your honor, of your justice, of your leadership. The fear of going at it alone is a part of this programming, a part of the delusion. A part of the illusion that was creating the delusion. They made me rephrase that. So my lovelies, as we're seeing here, there is just this push is what I'm getting here to recognize the self-saboteur possibly inside you that is not allowing your soul to, I don't know, be expressed in some way because it's burning somehow. It's like it's burning. Something wants to, it can no longer be. Page of Coins in the reverse. The Emperor. And the Eight of Pentacles. So my loves, here on your light side, I think part of the lesson here for you is to recognize this power, as I was talking about. This Page of Wands, this opportunity to step forward on a cycle that has not fully been written, so to speak. It's not the end of the story for you. It doesn't have to be it, in other words. And this disbelief that you're not capable of doing or going about it on your own, about following through, is, again, like we said, a part of the illusion. This Page of Coins here, thinking that you're not worthy of something or incapable of doing it on your own because of this example I gave you of the programming of how to receive that power and money, etc. But Spirit's like, but you're the Emperor, my lovely. You're the Empress, the Emperor of your own life. So create that mastery. Build that for yourself because it's already within you, my love. So the doubt, that self-saboteur, that soul on fire that's asking you to follow through, that's that light energy that is lighting your way to this particular enjoyment of self, enjoyment of life, of gifts, of desires, of ambition. It's beautiful when it comes to its like encouraging push, you know? So your light side, my lovely, is holding you. It's letting you know that it will be okay on the other side, that you can take that risk, you can step forward. They just told me you might have a connection to pile 3. That's interesting. Haven't done pile 3 yet. I feel like this, it's almost like a progression. So like once you overcome some of the fear, pile 3 is like where you can end up. Don't know what pile 3 is going to be about yet, so we'll see. Okay, anyways, yes, my love. So that's what I'm really feeling when it comes to your light and shadow side, about what the lessons are that are sort of being taught within the duality within you right now. And it's about finding your particular set of strength, fortitude, perseverance, know-how, that fire within, to understand that these lessons are no longer compatible with the evolution of where you want to go, period. So you can no longer be submissive to this energy. You can no longer sabotage what you know to be beneficial for your growth, for your life, for your joy. And step into that. Underneath the deck of the light side, we have the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. Yeah, I actually like that for you. I don't feel like you're gonna go like backwards and like come back to this. It's like it's already been in balance for so long. Like I really need to figure out what's really going on for me here, and I know that I can. So let's not go backwards. And then the shadow side, the Tower, yeah, it needs to crumble. It needs to crumble. My love, absolutely. That belief system, that idea. I love it. Let's get your closing messages with the archetype cards. We're going to get 2, obviously 1 for each, but we're just getting 2 to be real. Shadow. Oh, that was quick. I'm going to take them both. I'm going to use this one as just we'll take a peekaboo, because there's a reason it fell out, but I'm going to make sure that I don't forget. All right. So we have the Mother, want to come out for your shadow. Multiple energies I'm getting here, my lovely. I talked about this matriarchal, patriarchal archetype. There is something about how you were nurtured, how you were developed, the environment and how you were expected to be, etc. Beginnings of you that have created this disbelief within you that has diminished the view or the perspective of your actual strength and power. There's something very clear about that here. And there also is very clear about this parenting and loving and mothering the self, of being your own mentor, of cocooning what needs to be nurtured now within you, knowing and seeing this perspective, understanding the growth that wants and needs to be had. And then for your light side, the Bardo, freaking love it, which is that beautiful liminal space, the in-between, that transition. And that's exactly what Spirit wants you to do, to transition out from this past version, belief, persona, ideology, perspective, and step into that cosmic timeless lens. Open up to the higher wisdom. Trust in, like I said, the true knowing within you. It's that potential for you to rise above any past concerns, for you to see above, or to see the grander scheme here, the bigger lesson, the universal plan, for your soul's growth and development. Now is the time. Truly, now is the time. It's so great. It's so good. Let's take a peekaboo. The dead end. Yep. Yep. The dead end. If we do not allow that transition, that's what we were feeling before. There is no more growth here. So it's time is ready for you, my lovely. You do not need to sabotage anything, my lovelies. You got this. Like, got it. I love that for you, my beautiful pal one. I hope these messages served you. I am sending you so much love. Until the next time, please keep watering your lives. Thank you. Ciao. Hello, my beautiful pal 2, who chose 𝐸, which talks about, excuse me, your strength, your reliability, your trust. So we'll leave how this rune might incorporate with what Spirit wants to bring up today when it comes to your shadow and your light side. We're going to see how they intermingle, etc. We'll get some context as to what's happening based on what's been brought up through the tarot. So let's get started. First card out you have is the Puppeteer. Explanations, apologies. Child, orphan. Light attributes, independence based on learning to go at it alone, conquering fear of survival. Shadow attributes, feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. And the Smith, overthinking, taking action. The interesting feeling I'm getting for you, pal 2, is a fear of being taken advantage of. Like, that's the strongest energy that I'm getting here. It's, again, back to the trusts. You know, like the feeling of, I don't know, it's almost as if like learning manipulation tactics as a way of survival. Like, that's the feeling that I'm getting. And this puppeteer, this explanations and apologies, it's like, again, those manipulation tactics that get you out of sticky situations or away from trouble. And learning how to do that, possibly, again, this is a hypothetical example, could have made you, other people the scapegoats for stuff you did. As an example, not to say that this is what you're doing, And then this overthinking, the taking action, it's like overthinking about what you've done, but you've already taken action. There's this very interesting feeling of this abandonment wound, this fear of being taken advantage of and manipulated, or it already has been the case and this is what is developing or part of your shadow side that Spirit's wanting to bring up. That's the first very strong energy I'm getting. But there is this beautiful resilience within you, this reliability within you. These are still skills that you can use to a benevolent means. But it feels like, again, like learning manipulation tactics for survival. That's where this feels like it's come from, or where it's developed, or why you saw it or viewed it as a necessary tool for you to help navigate whatever circumstances you may have been in at any point in your life. Yeah, there is this very strong feeling of having to go about it a certain way just so that I don't have to deal with so much of the hurt that comes with it, or the trauma. I'm not sure what it is, but there's something very heavy about that puppeteer energy that I'm getting, and the orphan. So let's get some more context. We have the the Emperor in reverse. Justice. Ten of Wands. Eight of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. And the Four of Cups. I just heard dissatisfied with your conditions. Those were the words specifically that were said when I put this card down, the Four of Cups. So what I'm getting, my lovely, here with this Emperor in reverse, this untrustworthy authoritative figure that was extremely unyielding when it came to rules or boundaries being crossed, stepping out of the form. That's the way I want to word it. There was no real justice or balancing of this type of power in balance or power struggle. It feels like you were burdened with a lot of things, my lovely, and that's the reason why this, possibly now, the shadow energy, this lesson for you now is to combat the residual effects of the lesson, however, using it now in a better way. So it's now trying to master what the true, how do I word this? Considering we're talking about duality, there is no one side to one thing, you know? And the other aspect or the other perspective on the grander scheme of things is what was the actual beneficial tool, like I said, out of these manipulation tactics that I was using to manipulate to get myself out of situations that have now possibly been playing into how I just treat people or how I know to navigate. There's something about that. And this Eight of Pentacles is making me think about relearning that, relearning how to reconnect or to really find intimacy within bonds. And that's that Nine of Pentacles for you in the reverse, trying to really find that, again, justice back in something that was manipulated and discontent, bored, unsatisfactory. You know, a sense of just being burdened with a whole bunch of other external shit and not really feeling any sort of intimate bonds, connection, camaraderie even, at least, you know? There's a feeling of like wanting to escape, of it's got to be better somewhere else, or what do I got to do? Again, this manipulation thing, what do I got to do to get myself in a place where I'm not feeling this anymore, or I'm not that person, I'm now the puppeteer. There's a feeling of that in this energy, my lovely. So they're wanting you to remember your own personal strength, to try and transmute this manipulation energy into something more beneficial for your future and for your growth, for you to reconnect, again, like they said, to reteach yourself how to connect, to take action towards those changes that you want to have or see within. Interesting, pile 1. Pile 2, excuse me. All right, let's see what your light side has to say, as we'll see how they combine. We have bravely market your magic. Femme fatale, interesting. Highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Shadow attributes, inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. And then we have cut the cords of doubt. How beautifully interesting, pile 2. So what I'm getting here from your light side, as it says, is to bravely market that strength, that reliability, that trust. Market who you are and know how to change this. Again, there is a light side to this femme fatale, right? Is highlighting the erotic energy of the feminine, but opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Opens your heart when your dependency is rejected is the key to all of that in there, from what I'm feeling here. So what I feel Spirit is saying is cut the cords of the attachment to whatever that power or that imbalance of that power dynamic and struggle was for you. Release it. Release it. Whatever you needed to learn from that manipulation tactic is learned. Now we have to transmute it into something that's benevolent and useful and harmonious and considerate and compassionate. You know, now a little bit, not to say that this is how you are, it's just this is a part of the shadow attribute, and whatever and however spectrum that sits for you, whether that being very small or if it's a personal thing and how you treat yourself and how you allow yourself to be manipulated, possibly how you overthink and then you just like, go back into the same. It could play out in however, you know. But Spirit's already telling you that you have this reliability within your strength to trust that, to market your magic, to cut those cords of whatever this puppeteer is, cut that string, and open your heart when that dependency is rejected. It's fitting. Amazing. Okay, let's get light. Wow, that's quick. So we have King of Swords. Four of Wands. Page of Cups. Page of Swords. Three of Swords. Wow, okay, and the Lovers. Interesting. Okay, my pal twos. So what I'm seeing here, an extra side note, I should say, there is a romantic relationship that this could be very specific about too. I know I was bringing up a different type of energy, but again, it talks about that imbalance of power. So however that plays out, and maybe the way that this manipulation tactic for you played out was in the feminine expression or in the sexual energies. Side note. So what I'm feeling here, what your light side is trying to teach you, let's say, is to find your truth, to find your clarity, to find your voice specifically in what it is that you're actually wanting to build moving forward. Not in a way that's going to manipulate till you get there. It's like, in your perfect world, what do you envision? If it doesn't manipulate anybody and everybody comes together, how would you approach this? This mastery within self, step by step, gradually learning, still evolving, using the lessons from the hurt of your past to build something stronger. To no longer take small crumbs and to really nurture the love that you're really seeking, cutting cords with the parts of you or the parts of your life that don't fill you, that don't allow you to feel dependent interdependent, within whatever dynamic. There is this choice to be made between what you want for yourself and what you might be reacting to or still somewhat angry about, therefore retaliating. It's almost like getting back at all those types of energies that have done you wrong in the past, regardless if they're actually the people that did you wrong. Again, this is not necessarily, there's no blaming here, my pal twos. I'm just giving you the energy of how this could play out. Of like everybody that plays lacrosse is such a way, and everybody that you meet that does that, you treat them in a very particular way. There's that kind of energy is what I'm getting at. So there's a choice, again, to understand, to make for yourself, to bravely market who you are, to cut and be clear and trust what do you want to build. What are you healing from? What do you need to let go and release? What can you no longer accept? There is also a forgiveness to self, a forgiveness to the situation, a forgiveness to the people who didn't know better and couldn't do better. And again, it's not in a sense to say it or do it for them. It's more a fact of for yourself, as we all know this. The forgiveness is usually just for self. Not just for, but mainly for self, so we can continue to love and be loved. Then you have the High Priestess in the reverse. Yep. Yeah, things need to be brought up to the surface, brought up to light. You know the truth. Speak it out. Like I said, it needs to find its voice. And then you have the Two of Swords, decisions, imbalance, right? Head over heart, intuition over logic, all of that stuff here. It's like that's what needs to or wants to be combated within the shadow aspect of yourself. And the light side is just telling you, like, there was a reason and a purpose for the way that you learned it and how you had to strategically fight your way through certain things, and that was the tactic that was best used at the time, but it is no longer helpful for you. That seems to be the collective message in my readings today. Within each lesson, it's like, it's time now. It's time to let go of this particular part of the lesson, and let's go to level 3, or level 6 now. We've been at this particular level for a while. We've marinated it. We understand it. Now, let's transmute it into something even more magnificent, into something more beneficial for you. Amazing, my beautiful pile twos. Let's get your closing messages with the Archetypes card here. You're going to get one for each side. Of course, it doesn't really matter, but that's what we're doing. Shadow side. Well, we have the Vessel, and I'm going to take this one because it stayed on the board. So the Vessel tends to come up often for me in this deck. And if we're talking about the shadow side, it's like, what are we filling ourselves up with? How are we nurturing this? How are we giving to this scenario to better it, to bring light to it, to... How did it shape you? In other words, that's what I'm getting. It's sort of highlighting how this shaped you. And I feel like, again, taking the nutrients, so to speak, out of what was not all beautiful. And again, learning how to sort of pour that essence out into another vessel, that it can form a new shape, so to speak. That's what I'm getting. I hope that metaphor was a little not too, like, woo-woo, but... That's the feeling that I'm getting here. There's like a new vessel that wants to be filled up with your particular brand of magic. So for you to be able to cut those puppeteer cords is essential for, I feel, this next stage of your growth. And look at this, the one. How perfectly fitting for the one being about non-duality, one love. The Unus Mundus. It's a beautiful ability to experience connectivity, to the capacity to sense the intimate union with cosmic energy and self. It's that feeling of neither important or unimportant. All duality fades away, and we are left with what is the precious knowing that life is a gift. And we are both the giver and the receiver of this fortune. That is the one. So how are you going to bravely market this particular gift of yours that is the expression of you? How are you serving this? How are you resonating with your soul's energy? So my lovely spirit, your shadow and light side is bringing to your attention your true strength, the oneness that you're truly seeking, that, again, that camaraderie, that true filling up of the vessel to make you feel seen, heard, fulfilled, etc. It's all here for you within this transformation of recognition of where you've been using these particular skills that you have learned in a way that is needing or asking to be transformed. Oh, my beautiful collective, I hope this reading served you. I am sending you the most amount of love. Please keep on in your lives. Until next time, ciao. Welcome, my beautiful pal threes who chose 𝐬𝐤𝐳 or 𝐬𝐤𝐳. I call it 𝐬𝐤𝐳. So 𝐬𝐤𝐳 talks about renewal, birth, motherhood, flow, movement. So we'll see how that incorporates into what spirit and your your shadow and light side wants to talk to you today about, and the lessons it wants to give you. We'll find that through the tarot. So let's find out, pal 3, what your shadow wants to say to you. The miser, stubbornness, inflexibility. The martyr, learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause. Shadow, addiction to self-pity. And then we have the hunter, sure-footedness, predestination. The interesting thing I'm getting for you, pal 3, is the strongest word they're highlighting is stubbornness, but they're giving me a feeling of what's the word? Unrelenting when you don't get your way. Don't shoot the messenger. And it feels like you end up possibly, as an example, like using guilt trips, or again that self-pity or the poor me. There's like, once your mind is made up, like there's no breaking that the other way around it or possibility. There's a very strong barrier or wall that you put up once something might be rejected from you or for you for whatever the reason. There's a strong stubbornness here for sure. And I feel that the rune is talking about the renewal of the shadow side for you. The birth of something else, you know? Because there is this because they're bringing me to this sure-footedness, and it's like so sure that you cannot veer off of, like, I don't know why this is even an example, but like if you're thinking about footprints in the snow and somebody is leading you into, let's say, territory unknown, and this person who's leading knows the way, and they're imprinting naturally into the snow, and they suggest and they instruct you to step directly in their footsteps because you don't know, outside of this path you could fall, there could be danger, etc., etc. That's the example that Spirit's showing me right now, that they need you to follow directly in their footsteps, or else it's hell to be paid. So if this, again, on any spectrum of this energy that I'm describing, that might have to do with the part of your shadow attribute that Spirit is bringing up to your attention. When do you end up sometimes possibly playing the martyr? When are you of service only to oneself and not to others or a cause? When do you become that hunter and so predestined that there is no veering, there is no room for alternate? And I think, like I said, back to that flow, it's about finding that flow for this energy right now, about what your shadow is bringing up for you. With all piles today, it just seems to be a very clear, specific, thing that Spirit wants you to, or your shadow, I should say, wants you to focus on currently. So let's get some context here for pile 3. You have the Two of Wands, the Nine of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, Five of Swords, Seven of Wands in the reverse, and the Lovers. This is interesting, pile 3, because what I'm feeling when it comes to the tarot, first row in particular, the Two of Wands here, trying to find a better plan or strategy, but it feels, again, back to this sort of strategy again, more specifically, about finding a way to, like, fight through it or, again, get what you desire. Again, there's nothing really per se wrong about that, but there is something, if we're talking about this miserly energy in your shadow attribute, about being this stubbornness and this inflexibility. There is that. It's like there's always going to be another way to find where you want to get to specifically. No matter, you know, nobody really wins in these type of arguments, you know, and then you end up finding yourself, or the environment, or you, something gives in. There's always something that gives in. And I feel, I could be wrong, but it feels like that they usually give in to you. And I think that is what has contributed to your shadow attribute emphasizing an energy of entitlement around something specific when it comes to, again, when it comes to a specific way of, when your mind has already been made up about something, pretty much. That is where this sort of plays, your shadow plays out. There is less room for flexibility in those energies or in those moments. They end up usually conceding because they don't want to fight. There is like this surety. Again, there is a stubbornness here. Excuse me. And I think that Spirit is asking you to, or your shadow, I should say more specifically, asking you to really look at, has this really been benefiting you? That's what I feel first. Again, I love you, pile 3. Don't shoot the messenger. We're going into your light side, and we'll get some more understanding of how these plays together, of course. Cozy up with risk. Storyteller. Ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. Shadow, making up tales that harm others. And the edge of evolution feels messy. Ain't that the truth? So, my loves, what I'm getting here from your light side, it talks about, for me, what I'm getting here, especially based on what we felt, what I felt from your shadow side, it's about taking that risk to trust a little bit more, to have a little bit more room for creative involvement and play, for it not to be so restrictive or perfect or my way. You know, there's something, a new story, in other words, wants to be written by you. And I don't know if the shadow energy in particular has to do with, it feels more specifically within yourself, like that you have moments of, I won't back down. And again, I don't think these are all necessarily particularly bad traits per se. It just feels like, how far have we taken this to an extreme in some way? And I feel like the risks that needs to be taken, this renewal risk, in other words, the evolutionary risk that feels messy, that feels out of control, that's going to allow for some more flow, so a new birth, a new mothering, so to speak, of the self, a new story to be told. You know, symbols to be interpreted and understood and learned from. because they keep pulling me back to this miser energy, like very strongly. And that stubbornness and inflexibility is a part of something. So whether that has to do specifically with how you relate to family or loved ones or lovers, how you communicate those wants and desires could be more specifically what they're addressing. It feels like a wanting to evolve the way that we communicate our emotional needs. That's what it feels like first. So we have the Knight of Cups in the reverse, Three of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, I just heard despair and disappointment. Interesting. Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles in the reverse, I'll take them, 2 cards. You have the Nine of Swords in the reverse and the Three of Swords. What I'm getting from your light side, pile 3, is there possibly is a fear of actually not being liked. You know, of not feeling useful or being able to contribute in some way. It's an interesting energy that I'm getting first. It's almost that fear of, I don't know, something that it almost ends up making you feel even more isolated when you try to connect or to collaborate or something like that. So it's like you've sort of chosen this sort of, for lack of a better word, like tyrannical expression of power in some instances of your expression in your shadow. But again, I'm getting this feeling of I always still feel lonely, like I'm still by myself. There's, no matter how much power or how many people listen to me or do what I say, I'm just, it's not, I want to say, like, I don't get it. Like, that's the feeling. Like, I don't get why this is happening. And this Eight of Pentacles here with underneath this Knight of Cups here in the reverse, the Knight of Cups, you know, feeling like I was saying, like, you're just sort of falling short and you're trying to figure out, how do I master this? How do I find the right opportunities or the right people for me with that Ace of Pentacles in the reverse? I'm always like sort of just short of it, just shy of it. And then again, continuously feeling left out, hurt, Three of Swords, Nine of Swords, not knowing what to do. You know, so you just sort of go back to the same energy of being this inflexible with whatever, you know, that might be with relationships, with evolving, with telling your own story, of with opening up, with being vulnerable. It might just be that about your emotions, just miserly with all of that because of past hurts, because of past feelings, because of feeling that, or you felt that people made you feel that your pity, that you were addicted to your own self-pity, you know, and that was like, well, then F that, I'll just be the uber strong one and nobody can say shit about me. You know, there's again, the retaliation of, and I think that's the reason why this duality reading is so poignant, or so significant, you know, for the collective right now, of trying to merge. Again, these are, I want to just keep reiterating, the shadow and the light side is neither positive or negative. It's just a matter of how are we responding to certain triggers in our perception of our reality, right? And how long has that been with us? Has that evolved? Have we looked at it yet recently, or had it all? You know, this is what this reading is really for. It's no judgments on or to make you seem like you're a bad person, because we all have fluctuations of all of these energies within us at some point in our life. So I just don't want you to feel like you're doing something wrong or that you can't get it right. And like, again, that feeling of like, I don't get it, I don't understand. And I feel that this is where it's really coming from. It's just that you've swung the pendulum so far because of the hurt. So we're trying to find that renewal energy again back with your rune to rebirth this new story that your soul, spirit wants, your light and shadow side wants to be expressed through you, for you. My pile threes. But again, like I still feel that this whatever energy that I'm getting on the shadow side here was a deliberate choice based on previous experiences. It was like, this is really what works best for me, but I feel like you're finding now, if not before, that it's still not fulfilling you in the ways that you were hoping it would, that thing that you were craving, connection in some respect, or just respect, quite literally, acknowledgement of the self. And there's three of Pentacles. I know it's not in the reverse, but there's just something about this third energy here, this dude in the back, that almost makes me feel like he's slightly not quite involved, or just so observing that he's not fully immersed in it. It's sort of just like, is this the right place? And then we get the Five of Pentacles after. It's like, not really, kind of feeling left out. That's the same energy I feel here. And that Three of Swords and Nine of Swords underneath, it just reiterates the same message for me. Wow. So my lovely, I really just feel like Spirit is like, you got this. You have the ability to evolve and change whatever needs to change within what's been held within and not been able to feel home or some sort of like joy, you know? This is interesting. Underneath the shadow, you have the Five of Pentacles again here. Again, same energy, right? Feeling left out. It still doesn't quite hit the mark. Whatever it is, the method you've been using doesn't quite do it. And then we have the Ace of Swords in the reverse. On the light side, yeah, hesitant to take that action, hesitant to take that action when they want you to cozy up with the risk, because we know the edge of evolution feels messy, but have confidence in knowing that you can conquer whatever it is that you're seeking to evolve or change or to experience or have within your life. I love the pile threes. So don't think that you are, falling short in any respect. It just feels an embracing of what Spirit wants you to look at right now. Right. Okay, so for your shadow side, you have Judge, the Judge. I first heard you need to be a better judge for yourself now. It's like you need to, what they're showing me is a hand. It's like when you need to stop this and when you need to be giving. And there's that imbalance of that, again, that power struggle within you, that stubbornness, that inflexibility that has left you in this feeling of feeling left out, even though you might have like a really large community around you. That's sort of the feeling that I get from this. But again, I'm reiterating that this is stemmed from previous experiences and semi-learned behaviors of how power is achieved or how to get respect or something like that. Small or big, however spectrum this is in whichever area of your life. And then for your light side, you have the self. That multifaceted expression of you, my lovely. That is not just one chapter. It is a full story that still wants to be written. There's a new story of the self that wants to be written. There is a discovery of the self that wants to be explored by this evolution feels messy. The experience and the expression of life through these stories, through these symbols, through these words, through your findings, through your journey, through your reflection and learning. So my lovelies, your shadow self wants you to no longer judge this part of you. However, they also do want you to take a look at where this applies for you in your life. Like I said, whether that's just in your emotions that you're holding them on to, whether that's in a specific idea of the way that you think about something, that you're unyielding, unwavering. And there's something about that, finding a better balance on how you give and take your energies, period. And then when it comes to your light side of the self, it's just a reignition or retelling of the story to self. Retelling the story of the self, is really what's happening here, and that you do have every capability and power within you to succeed in this endeavor of transmutation of the old version of you, or the evolution of the shadow side that becomes a little bit more benevolent in its balance of power and how it's expressed. So my lovely collective of pile 3, you're in for a renewal, for a new birth, again, of the self. So continue to mother that self, that new self that wants to emerge. I hope this reading served you, my beautiful collective of Pile 3. I'm sending you so much love. Until next time, please keep lighting your lives. Ciao.